Welcome back to Effort. I promised you I was gonna do another video, and I'm trying to do them as closely to each other as possible. But things happen, and sometimes it's not possible. So, I'm getting ready to show you yet another edible, wild edible. I'm sorry, another wild edible that you can find almost anywhere here in South Texas. I mean, literally, the thing grows like weeds, and now, this next wild edible is also seasonal, I guess you could say, because you can only ingest them when they're still on the tree and only a certain color. When they fall from the tree or they turn a certain color, they are no longer edible and quite possibly has this type of mold on it or in it. I'm not exactly sure what the mold is called, but I do know that you cannot eat them once they hit the ground or once they pass ripening, I guess you could say. But like I said, you can find this almost anywhere here in South Texas, and you can find them on the side of roads. You can find them in your neighbor's house, in your house, in your grandma's house. They're everywhere. Now, right now, we're past the time that it had the season it had to be used correctly, which was, I want to say, we're in August. I want to say it was about 2 months ago that they were still good to go. And right now I'll walk over there and show you, because it's kind of hot today. It's in the hundreds. And well, anyways, this wild edible has a lot of uses, especially being a type of sweetener. Now, it has several uses, but I know for a fact that it's used as a sweetener in a lot of things. Baking, um, it's used as a substitute for certain things. Like, okay, you get a lot like the acorns. You'll get this particular wild edible, and you'll grind it up into a fine powder, and from that fine powder, you can make um, flour, and it's actually gluten free. So anybody who likes the whole gluten free movement, this one's for you. And so you can make flour from it. You can make natural sweeteners. You can bake with it. You can substitute it for sweeteners and certain. You can substitute it for wheat flour. And the interesting part of this, the one that even me personally, I find like out of this world, is if you grind it up, it actually can be used as a substitute for coffee, because it has a very earthy and bitter taste, much like coffee does. And it kind of has like I want to say, coffee raisiny kind of taste to it. I mean, I've tried it a while back. It's not bad. It's just that's something that a whole lot of people are used to anymore. But I mean, this next wild edible was a staple for indigenous tribes and for Latinos growing up all over South Texas, Mexicanos. Um, yeah, I mean, you can, like I said, you can grind it up and do just about anything with it. I mean, it is a universal plant. It is plentiful. It doesn't require much effort to collect these wild edibles, you know. And I mean, like I said, they're seasonal, but when they're there, they're in abundance. And for anybody who has to you know do whatever they have to survive, this is yet another urban survival food that you can find readily and accessible, providing it's the time for it. Now, like I said, it's not the season anymore, but hopefully I can find some on the ground just to show you an example of what we're talking about. So let me go ahead and walk over to where we're going. And first, I'll see if there's any of them on the floor or even on the tree, maybe. And if there's not, I know for sure that I have them in my backyard at home. And if that's the case, we'll continue this video at home. Stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the plant that I'm talking about. And this right here is a mesquite tree. And anybody in South Texas or anywhere in Texas knows what a mesquite tree is. Now this tree itself is a young tree so far. And it doesn't have any of the beans still on it, which will be the seed pods. The seed pods from the mesquite tree are what I'm talking about and are edible. And you can see them here on the ground where this tree has shed them already. Now these right here on the ground, they're no good. They're not good anymore. And here's a closer look at them. This is what you would be looking for. Now, like I said, the mesquite tree has a lot of uses. You know, not just the beans itself, but, you know, we all know how good the meat comes when you cook it with mesquite wood. Now, mesquite wood in itself is a good survival, thing to know. Just because, I mean, it's readily available. Let me see if I can get this piece right here. See? It's readily available, and it breaks very, very easily once it's dry. And those are the pieces you want once they're dry. You know. Well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. I managed to pick up a few from the ground. Now, like I said, these are past its prime. These are already yellow. And what you want to do is you want to get them when they have a little bit of red on them. Not solid yellow, but they're kind of reddish. And that's when you want to get them. And you don't want to let them get rained on for the first time once they're ripe. Once they're ready to go, you see them that they're ready. Don't let them get rained on. Pick them as soon as you can. Well, that's what I've been told anyways. So this right here is the mesquite bean pod. Now inside, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it. Let me see if I can get a couple of them together, but you can hear it. That inside are the beans. Now I'm going to attempt, see, I found this flat rock and I have this round rock that I'm going to attempt to grind some of these beans up so that you can see that it's not that hard to do. So let's see if we can do that. Give a small, you know, how can you say, a small example of how you would process them. I'm sorry, English is hard, guys. Process them, you know, without tools. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here's the rock. Please excuse the way the camera looks. I have it upside down. I didn't know I could do that. So let me see. So you can either break these open with your hands. I'm going to cheat because I had some pliers in the truck. And I'm going to just kind of, well, yeah, something like that. Just so that I can get to the beans in there. Let's see if I found one here somewhere. Okay, that one. Okay, this one got some. Now, these, okay, there we go. I'll just crush it up with my hands. It's a lot simpler. These are hollowed. These beans are sectioned out like bamboo. I don't know if you've ever seen, you know how bamboo has those little sections. These beans are the same. There's little sections in between, and in between each section, you'll have a wall. Now, I'm using my nail to kind of pry open the middle of it, so as I can get to the bean on the inside. It's actually a lot harder when they're dry like this. When they're still greenish, they split open a lot easier, I think. And of course, you'll have to dry the beans. You know, they have to be dry in order to, you know, use to powder up. And okay, here we go. I got some of the sections right here, and I'll see if I can show it. See, I don't know if you can tell. There's 1 and 2. So they're sectioned, and I'm gonna go ahead and get one out here, and here it is. That is a mesquite bean or a seed, anyways. So what you do, you get a good handful of these. It's gonna, take its work to get all these deals out because it's painstaking work. Well, not painstaking. I'm sorry about that. It's just like like everything that that you have to get on your own. Everything that you have to get on your own, of course. Everything takes work. You know, nothing is given. I once heard say that survival was a 24-hour job, and anybody who's ever tried to survive or has had to survive with by any means necessary, of course, you got to do what you got to do, and like I said, this is just one of the many things you can find out there that's free, it's cheap and plentiful when there is some, right? So I went ahead and got some here. Let's see, I'm gonna angle the rock out like that. I have some right here. There's four of them, right? Can you see it? See? They're gonna roll off. So put my finger right there. There's four beans on there. So what you're gonna do, of course, these are dry, so they're gonna be easy to powder up. You get another rock that's kind of round but with a flat side, and just get in there and crush them up. You crush them up. Ooh, that didn't work. Like I said, it takes work. But anyways, you just want to crush them up, to a powder. And like I said, a lot of times what you're gonna do is you're gonna roast these like over a fire. Kind of do that whole, what do you call it? Dry them out basically, and they're flying everywhere, of course. Nobody said it was gonna be easy, right? And you grind them up, into a powder or powder-ish, of course. And then you add a little bit of water, and then you get your what do you call it? You'll get your you'll start to get your flour. So I'm gonna try to do it this way because I can't seem to get a good motion with this rock. It doesn't want to powder up, but like I said, these ones are already old and they're probably past their use. So you want to get them at a certain time of year. There we go. Just had to get a little bit of a, how do you say, a motion, a working motion. Starting to powder up a bit. I mean, obviously you got to keep doing it a bit, here and there. Make sure it powders up real good. But anyways, see, there's already a little bit of powder right there. I don't know if you see it. There it goes. Anyways, so yeah, get you a more or less flat stone. Another stone that's kind of get in there so you can grind it up, and you could use it for, like I said, coffee, flour, sweetener, just about a lot of things. So If you like these kind of videos, like I said, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. I'm sorry, my eyes look like I'm looking up because I'm attracted. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.